Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome to Inside Indy. And tonight we're going to grow Indy, growing Indy. We're going to be talking about the Growing Indy Group from Richard Samuels, who is the executive director. Hi, Richard. How are you?
How are you, Kelly? It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. The Growing Indy Group. What is that? Tell us about it.
Well, the Growing Indy Group is a group of individuals who have come together to decided that, there were so many gaps that were going on in other services. And so we wanted to try and have of course, this is an old saying, but a one-stop shop, just a place to be able to provide services that people wouldn't fall through the gaps. And so what we did was we came up with the Growing Indy Group, which provides information, education, services, and training to individuals who are dealing with reentry and recovery, as well as the communities that are dealing with the violence and death that are happening in their areas.
Okay. You mentioned those two, recovery and then the violence. Is there a connection or a disconnect there?
Well, it's interesting. No, I think that it's a kind of a disconnection. No one is really talking about the fact that if you really think about it, when was the last time you heard about a substantial bust for drugs in the community? You haven't heard that as much because, of course, of the COVID. But the bottom line is, you don't hear a lot about drugs in the community anymore, and so you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that the drought that's happening is parlaying into possible reactions to what other people are doing, like some young people, whereas they would be out selling drugs, which we know that as, just what happens. Now they may be robbing for money because there's a shortage in the drugs on the streets. It changes, things changes, perspective changes. So, you just have to kind of have your ear to the ground and see what's really going on in the community.
Okay. So now exactly what does your group do? Because the reason I called you, because I was on Facebook and I saw you out in the community and you were like, join us, and you were feeding people. There was a lot going on. I said, I got to call Richard and have him on Inside Indy to talk about what you're doing out there, because this is, you're like in the trenches.
Absolutely. Just to be clear, when we were on Thursday, we were at the Rising Star Apartments. It was just a collaboration of so many different organizations coming together. Shauna Majors and her violence reduction team, Eric Davenport from the Boys and Girls Club, Resources in the Park. Tony Lopez was there, Reggie Scott, Casby Williams III is the person that really just organized that whole thing. And we just had a wonderful time. Val Tate came out of Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. Just so many wonderful people that saw the need and said, okay, hey, let's do this, and it felt like a block party. It really did. We went into a community that was devastated, and we had hot dogs, we had hamburgers, we had free food to pass out, we had hand sanitizer, we had masks. And so we just had a wonderful time, just basically talking with the community residents, as well as signing them up for resources. We passed out bus tickets, we raffled off gift cards. So everyone put in their measure of activities to make that a successful event. And so
what was the reaction? And tell me about the area, some of where you were. And
we were at about 39th and Shadeland. And so a lot of the apartments over there are just kind of devastated. But we go now as Growing Indy Group. Now that was a collaboration Thursday of a lot of other agencies, but the Growing Indy Group goes out every Monday and passes out food to the devastated communities like the Meadows, Hillside. We go to Hallville, we go to Gangsterville, we go to, which is 36th and Park, which 3 or 4 weeks ago, that was the area of a SWAT standoff where they killed a young man. And so after that, a couple of days after, we went into that community and we did the same thing, provided food and resources, took down people's names who wanted to find other resources in other places. And so we connect them. And that's what the Growing Indy Group actually does, is that we are an umbrella of services. So there are no gaps with the Growing Indy Group. You know, we have people for housing. We have people with violence reduction on our team. We have people who do epidemiology. We have Danita Smith-Foster, who is our vice chair, who does the mental health and addictions part of those services. We have Rhonda Battles, who does mental health as well. Our executive committee is made up of people who have just been excellent in their field of study. Icy Hinton is our treasurer, who worked with the U.S. Customs Department for about 30 years. Your friend and mine, Mila Eldridge, our Marion County clerk, is part of our team as well. Of course, you know, Mila is all about the vote, getting the voting out. So we try to touch on all of those aspects. Julie Fiddler, I'm telling you, Julie is a soldier in the trenches. Julie is now the executive director of the Jay Waters Community Conflict Mediation Conflict Resolution Clinic. And so we have we have Vicki Peterson, of course, another one of our friends who comes under the Growing Indy Group, where she provides services for the senior population. So, you know, the Growing Indy Group is just really, I cannot forget Cynthia Taylor. She is our compliance officer, as well as a virtual assistant. In her own right, and what you'll find is all of the people who fall under our group have two hats. One hat, Ann DeSisti is with CareSource. Chris Simmons is with Indy Reeves. So we have people who deal with employment. We have people who deal with education. We have people who deal with housing. We have people who deal with seniors. And so basically the Growing Indy Group is a compilation of all of those individual services, and we try to do the best we can to make sure that everyone is satisfied when they deal with us.
Wow. So when you go into a challenged area like that, what are you seeing? What are the hurts? What are the challenges? What's really going on? And how is what you're doing with the Growing Indy Group impacting it? Do you see the change the minute you walk in, or is it something that happens long term? Take us there.
What that is now, one of the places that I go on a regular basis is the Meadows. And I go there because the Meadows right now looks like Beirut. And what they're doing is they're trying to do a lot of remodeling. And so they have gutted probably 75% of the properties. And so those who are still there are living in standards that just are substandard. And so we go in every Monday, we provide food, resources, and services. And it's taken a minute, because when you go into those neighborhoods where violence occurs, where death occurs, people don't trust you right off the bat. And so they're like, what are you doing in here? Are you guys, spying on us? What's going on here? Of course, they're taking the food and the services, you know what I mean? But at the same time, they have reservations. But now that we've gone in there probably for the last 8 weeks, now I have one person that I contact, and when I'm on my way, and I say, Miss Beverly, make the phone calls. And what she does is she gets on her phone and she calls all the people in the apartments and says, hey, he's on his way. The food man is on his way. And so then we go out. As a matter of fact, we went out yesterday. We had a great time. Crystal Rose from Engaging Solutions. She's also under Growing Indy. She is our case management person. She was out with us. Reggie Scott went out with us yesterday as well, from Cafe, because Cafe provides some of the food from Gleaners that we take into the communities. Groundworks Indy, Phyllis Boyd, she provides the mask and the hand sanitizers for us to pass out. So like I say, it's always every week a group effort. And, if you want to learn about collaboration, watch what the Growing Indy Group is doing, because we are the epitome of what it looks like to collaborate with other agencies in the community.
Wow. Well, I commend you for what you do. What do you want to do beyond this, or with this particular group?
Well,
what's your vision?
What I'm looking at right now is trying to develop a fleet of trucks that, see, we go into the places no one else wants to go. You'll see on television about people handing out food downtown, but you're not looking at the fact that there are people who are 3 blocks away from where you're passing out the food, that if they have no transportation, then they might as well be on a food desert. And so we need people who will go into the communities that no one else wants to go into. Of course, when you hear about there's been a shooting or there's been stabbings or something like that, people are not trying to run in there to pass out food or anything like that. But you've got to understand, even if the police take out those individuals who were doing those things, there's still a need for the residents who are left behind that, you know, the trauma has affected. And so we go out and we talk to people. We provide, you know, those mental health services, and we provide that necessary immediate food. And then we talk to them about, oh, okay, so what other needs do you have? And how else can we address you with bus passes and those type of things? We just try to make sure that when we leave, that we are not leaving them destitute.
I was hoping he'd do some kind of even television programming. Tony Mason, I've actually been after him. I'm just putting it out there in the public. I'll call and tell him I said so for several years now. And so I'm still waiting on that phone call about doing something where we can service the community via television.
Kelly, there's one last thing that I would like to speak on as far as the defacement of the Black Lives Matter mural. I was a part of that and really participated in, you know, one of my friends, very good friends, Rebecca Robinson, was one of the artists and asked me to help her out. And just really, it was a wonderful effort. And, you know, a lot of people just don't understand that to privileged, equality means oppression. A lot of people don't understand that people who have privilege, if you're used to having things your way all of the time, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and says, well, what about us? Our Black Lives Matter, so we want to be a part of that. To people who have been used to having things all their lives, that feels like oppression. And so I understand, you know, I kind of expected what happened in terms of defacement of the mural to happen, but it was unfortunate, but we have to understand it, and so that we can work towards making sure that it still becomes a positive conversation. And I just love what the Indy 10 Black Lives Matter retorted with. Their reply to that was just so professional and so calming, and I'm just hoping that we can move forward with that discussion and, you know, just continue to become human beings as opposed to having to have that designation of whose lives matter at all.
There you go. Well, you're preaching today. Richard Samuels, Executive Director of the Growing Indy Group. Very good points. And I wish we could go longer. I have to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kelly.
When you're running your own business and taking care of your disabled brother, you tend to learn about responsibility pretty quickly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome to Inside Indy. We are in the studio this week, but because of COVID-19 and social distancing, my guests are coming to us via Zoom, and they are Emil Ekiyor, and you are the founder of INNOPOWER, a huge conference that's coming up virtually here in Indianapolis, right?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And also we have Robert Shegog, who is the CEO and president of the Indianapolis Recorder newspaper. Welcome, Robert.
Welcome, and thanks for having me.
So the two of you are teaming together, and it's called the INNOPOWER Minority Business Conference, right?
Yes.
Okay, so give us a preview of what's about to happen and why.
So last year at this time, Kelly, if you remember, I was speaking to you about the inaugural conference, the INNOPOWER Conference 2019. We partnered with Indiana Black Expo and did it on floors of the summer celebration at the convention center. At that time, we were creating a conference just to address how do we solve problems and create opportunities differently in our communities, which is our Black and Brown communities here in Indianapolis. Fast forward a year later, we were planning to have an in-person conference at the University of Indianapolis, and then COVID hit.
The world changed.
World changed. And as the world changed, we were actually thinking, should we have this conference? So much happening, people are going through so much. But as we looked at what was happening, we felt like it was more important than ever to have the conference, to really get people together to talk about our communities and how we could create opportunities as we come out of COVID. The key word that we'll use is opportunities. We feel like everybody in our community here in Indianapolis should feel like they have access to opportunity. People should feel like they are one chance away from reaching their dreams, and those dreams can truly be accomplished. But that's easier said than done. Is we can feel that way, but how does that truly happen? And we just felt like we have a great opportunity as a community to really design how do we want our community to look going forward. COVID has exposed so much. So we've learned so much about how interconnected we are as a people. But now, how do we use what we've learned to design a community that empowers everybody to have access to opportunity?
Okay. And of course, as you mentioned, the prior conference, you were just dealing with issues, and these are like super issues, new ones that we've never faced before. So tell us about some of the topics that you'll be discussing, and any special programs that people will be able to participate in.
Yes, we have first of all, we have an unbelievable group of speakers. We have over 100 presenters, headlined by MCs, Ms. Tamara Cypress and Angela Freeman. They're both MCing the conference. We have the governor who's going to give a presentation, a brief presentation. Andre Carson is going to give a brief presentation. We have Joy Fitzgerald. Joy Fitzgerald is the Vice President, Chief Diversity Inclusion Officer at Eli Lilly's Global. And the reason I highlight Joy in her speaking is we are all going into a workplace that through COVID, we found out, we've all known this, but we found out that a lot of minorities go to work feeling extremely uncomfortable. A lot of minorities leave work feeling relieved to have left work. So how do we look at our working environments to understand that, how can we create the environment that respects everybody, understands that we are so diverse in the workplace today, but how can we all work together and improve our working environment? So having some Fitzgerald's expertise and talk to us about that is so powerful. So we can't wait for that as well. We have Mike Green. Mike Green is a chief strategist for the National Institute for Inclusive Competitiveness. Now, what does that mean? It means as we look to design an economy that's inclusive of everybody as we go forward, what does that look like as we come out of COVID? How do we make sure that everybody has a seat at the table, everybody feels like they have access to a new, improved economy? So those are two keynotes that we have. But we have a lot of panels, a lot of great speakers. And Rob, I'm sure you could point out some of your favorite panels in this conference as well.
Yes, we have a lot of, remember, to piggyback on what Emil said, this conference is important to me because, as you know, Kelly, this has been a very challenging year due to COVID. So when me and Emil was talking, I said, Emil, let's do our best to have this conference and to highlight the positive achievements of so many people in the city that's doing great things. Remember, we have some talented individuals in the city that's doing awesome things. So let's have this conference to highlight all of that.
So Robert, how did the two of you come together and partner with this conference?
We came together. You remember, INNOPOWER started a year ago, and the recorder also has the Indiana Minority Business Magazine. So it made sense to do INNOPOWER Minority Business Conference. You know, that way we can merge the two together. And I always tell people the conference is only a starting point. It's on a starting point. So you remember, so we'll have the conference and we'll have something something monthly or bi-weekly moving forward to just highlight everything that's going on in society as far as jobs, as far as economic development, as far as a lot of things that's going on.
Okay. Now, how do people get involved? Those who are watching, and who is this really for? Who are you targeting?
So our conference is focused on one, professionals across the board, right? Because I think we have so much to learn from each other, but especially minority professionals, right? As we come out of this economic downturn, how do I reinvent myself if I'm looking to do that? How do I find the right career path for me? If I'm a student that just graduated from college, obviously the workplace is totally different from what students expected 6 months ago. So how do I navigate that? How do I understand opportunities that are available for me to start towards my career? Minority entrepreneurs and data shows that over 40% of minority businesses are going to be shut down because of COVID. Well, how do I reinvent my business? How do I look at opportunities for business as I go forward? Also, how do I engage financial institutions to feel, how do I get access to finances and dollars? We know that's been one of the biggest barriers for minority entrepreneurs. So we have financial institutions that are going to participate in the conference to talk about that. So when we say the new normal is we don't go back to what was happening before. It's what's going to be different. So minority entrepreneurs, business owners, students, professionals, but also when I say minority, that's everybody that falls under the blanket of the word minority, right? It's so important for minority communities to know that we are so interconnected. And when it comes to entrepreneurship and business, that's a connection that we've missed in our city for so long. So all those people are invited to the conference, but we also want anchor institutions, HR professionals to come learn from our panel discussions about the workplace, to understand how their co-workers may be feeling in the workplace on a daily basis and how we can improve this. We have Blair Milo from the state of Indiana, who leads the talent acquisition department for the state. She's going to talk about the state's initiatives to acquire talent and develop talent from within the state. So having her talk about that and having students listen to that conversation and understand what careers they can go into and what the state is headed towards as far as the direction the state is headed as far as workforce development is concerned. So we really feel like we're hitting all the right chords for what's relevant to our community today. And that was the key thing for the conference. We didn't want to be tone deaf, and we didn't want to come across as being out of touch with what's happening. So we wanted to make sure that when people come in, the conference and the topics, the panels all resonate with them because we're speaking to them about things that are going on in their lives today.
Okay. So now, Robert, for those who do want to tap in, how do they do that? And is there a charge to participate in this conference?
The conference is free. It's free of charge, and they can log on to imbmconference.com to register. And as Emil said we have over 100 powerful and great speakers, moderators, guests, and all of that.
Okay. And I want to encourage people while they're watching, pick up a copy of the Indianapolis Recorder newspaper or go online. And what is your website to check out the paper?
www.indianapolisrecorder.com.
Okay. We always want to give them a shout out. So now somebody watching might say, okay, I know the focus is to help those in the minority community. Hey, I'm a white guy. I'm a white gal. Do I fit in anywhere with this? Can I check this out? What do you say?
I say definitely. I say we can't talk about inclusiveness without being inclusive ourselves, right? And when we talk about a community, we talk about the entire Indianapolis community, white, black, green, whoever. it is so important for our Caucasian brothers and sisters to participate in this conference, because when we talk about business and commerce, the dollar doesn't have any color barriers, right? So as minority entrepreneurs look to do business, I think it helps for other communities to see what opportunities exist within minority communities, what we are talking about and what opportunities we're looking for or who we're looking to work with. So a big part of the conference is also building social capital. And being virtual is amazing with technology, the things you can do today with virtual conferences and things that are happening now. So the ability to network with minority students, entrepreneurs, professionals, and just to be a part of all of this. So we do have various speakers from various backgrounds and ethnic groups participating in the conference as well. So everybody's included. When we say everybody deserves a seat at the table, we mean everybody.
Okay.
And that's the way you come up with the best ideas, the best policies, and really leads to success. Everybody's invited, everybody's welcomed. His input is valid and important to us.
Okay. And we're just about out of time. Very quickly, date, time, I can't say location, but the date and how people tap in.
So August 28th and 29th, INBconference.com. It starts at 10 o'clock. We have initial presentation from the governor and then download. So it's 5 hours of unbelievable information, energy, just talk high-level professionals. Amazing the talent we have in our city. And so August 28th and 29th from 10 o'clock to about 3 o'clock every day. And it's ongoing. We're asking people to register now. It's free registration, so everybody can truly be at the table.
Okay, and then check you out on Facebook, I'm sure, as well. You can go there as well. Okay,
Yes.
Sounds good to me. Emil Ekiyor, who is the founder of INNOPOWER, and Robert Shegog, who is the CEO and president of the Indianapolis Recorder newspaper. Thank you both for joining us on Inside Indy.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.